Peace and love, y'all. It's your brother A.D.V.I.S. here with another episode of What's the Word Wednesdays, Season 4, the final season, Episode 18. And with that being said, y'all, as we usually do, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put down in the comments the topics we got for today, as well as I will put up the logo, but right now, logo's not wanting to work, so it's all good. But when you come in here, y'all let me know how y'all doing, how y'all feeling, and what's the word? How we doing? How we feeling? Shouts out to my brother from another, outside on another way of the world, but still here. N0 Clan, MC0 in the building. What's going on, my brother? What's the word? How you doing, fam? Just getting it all up in here, getting things set off, ready, set, all of that stuff. But again, shouts out to all of y'all who will be here, as well as those who will be watching this later, whether on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, wherever this is going to end up being social media wise. If you are on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to your boy at A.D.V.I.S. Speaks. There's going to be other content coming, not just only long form content, but also just in between thoughts that I have want to share. So tap in. Again, YouTube, subscribe. A.D.V.I.S. Speaks. At first, I was about to forget it right now. A.D.V.I.S. Speaks. But there we go. But yeah, what's up? Yeah. So I'm going to give few more what? Not going to say seconds, like maybe about 20 seconds. And then what we're going to do is, got the topics, then we're going to do the show song, and then we're going to get into our current events. Just keeping it moving. We are, how many? Let's see. We got 19, 20, 21, 22. I'm thinking we got about like 4-5 episodes left. So y'all better tap in, because then after that, What's the Word Wednesdays will be no more at all. So come through. Shouts out to Gills. Peace and love, Gills. What's going on? So let me at least quote y'all correctly, so then y'all will know. So yeah, we have 5 episodes left. Episode 23 will be the last episode. It will be. But yes, with that being said, y'all, let's go ahead and let's do the show song. And after the show song, I'll tell y'all what we getting into for today. Also, don't worry. Eventually, you ain't got to worry about me singing this song this way. It'll actually be streaming and be his own thing. But for now, what's the word, y'all? What's the word? What's the word, y'all? What's the word? What's the word, y'all? What's the word? Tell them like, what's the word? What's the word? What you heard? We gotta know, yeah, what's the word? Again, y'all, peace and love. It's your brother A.D.V.I.S., and we are here with another episode of What's the Word Wednesdays, Season 4, the final season, Episode 18. So again, as y'all coming in, y'all let me know how y'all doing, how y'all feeling, and what's the word. I'm appreciative of the support, appreciative of the love. Again, 5 episodes left, and then we are done. This is the finale, no more. But shouts out to y'all, as well as for tonight's topics. We are going to be getting into, one, of course, current events. So this first 20 minutes, we're going to be speaking on different news and current events. So if you have any news that you like to share, whether if it's personal or worldly news, please put it down in the comments. I appreciate it. We're just going to talk about what we see, what we hearing. We got to know what's the word. Second, we're going to get into the grand illusion. You're like, grand illusion? Yes. So we're going to talk about the grand illusion and what that could possibly mean. So stick around, and you'll figure that out. And lastly, we're going to be talking about who is your worst enemy. It's a lot that I want to unpack, or at least speak about with these topics. So tune in with me if you can. If not, it's all love. We always keep it moving regardless. But with that being said, again, peace and love. I see you in here, Rube. Peace and love, my G. So now we're going to get in. We're going to talk about some current events. Current events is what we got up. So again, if y'all have any news y'all want to share, y'all want to put up, Or if you're like, I don't want to be here, you come back in another 20 minutes and we should be all good to go. And we'll be back to the next topic. With that being said, let me at least do this first news report and we're going to keep it popping. So, first one comes from ABC News. And the headline reads, Biden and Xi, which is Xi Jinping, Xi Jinping. I'm saying this completely bad, but let's do it again. Biden and Xi talk fentanyl, Taiwan, military communication, and more in a 4-hour meeting. So let's see what's going on. But here we go. Usually I do 3 paragraphs and then we're out and you can read the rest. But let's go for it. Article reads, President Joe Biden and China's President Xi Jinping on Wednesday held their first face-to-face meeting in more than a year amid tensions in the U.S.-China relationship. For security reasons, the two leaders held the talks at a private location, the historic Falaoli, if I'm saying that right, estate in Woodside, California. So he's in California, outside San Francisco, near where the Asian Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit is being held this week. The two men smiled, shook hands after Biden walked out to greet his Chinese counterpart, and then the leaders immediately walked inside. Let me see the few things that they did talk about. I'll just see some highlights more sure. So again, the highlights really talking about fentanyl and how it's having such an impact, as well as artificial intelligence, and speaking about Taiwan and a bit of their administration concerns. But yeah, I'm not going to read too much more. If y'all want to read more about it, y'all can go check it out. This comes from ABC News, and the headline reads, Biden and Xi talk fentanyl, Taiwan, military communication, and more in 4-hour meeting. So yeah, let me keep this moving too. It loves playing Tetris. All right, don't mind me. All right, let's see. On a personal note, I got my first tattoo over the weekend. I happened to see your post. My boy got a Goku with one of the 7 Dragon Balls. I can't think of holding it. It looks pretty nice, my man. Shoot. Congrats to you. Ink it up for me if you're gonna be doing more. I'm not personally a tattoo dude, but hey, if you're gonna get another one, in my memory, I'm just playing. Don't forget, hydrate. But it said my worst enemy is myself. Save that for later. Man, I'm telling you, I'm with you on that. All right, next one. Next article comes from the Associated Press. Headline reads, Senate looks to speed ahead on temporary funding to avert government shutdown through the holidays. So my question I do have, shouts out to my brother MC0. I know you out there. I'm not going to put where you are out at, but I want to know, does this government shutdown also have an impact on you as well? Y'all figure out later what I mean, different territories and stuff. But let me know, G, because again, I'm still learning geography and all of this stuff. But again, the Associated Press headline reads, Senate looks to speed ahead on temporary funding to avert government shutdown through the holidays. So we'll see what's going on with this. 3 paragraphs and we're out. Article reads, the Senate was pushing towards a vote Wednesday night, tonight, on a temporary government funding package as lawmakers sought to keep the holiday season free from any suspense over a government shutdown. Senators were trying to speed forward on funding package one day after it passed the House on an overwhelmingly bipartisan vote. Passage would push a final confrontation on the government budget into the new year, when the House and Senate will be forced to confront and somehow overcome their considerable differences over what funding levels should be. And This has seemed like a every year type thing. Of course, we know it's every fiscal year, but at the same time, it's seeming as in this is just a continued, repeated cycle over and over. There's gonna be a government shutdown. There might not be a government shutdown, especially these last couple of years. So ridiculous. All right, let's keep going. In the meantime, both top Republican and Democrats in the Senate appeared ready to avert a shutdown and pass the temporary funding patch well before government funding expires Saturday. So it expires on Saturday. See what happens. Negotiations on advancing the bill to a final vote in the chamber were held up over a disagreement on how to proceed on a separate defense authorization bill, but senators still hope to reach an agreement to pass the funding bill Wednesday night, which is tonight. So hopefully they do. Because at this point, man, we all over the place with this stuff, man. It's continually ridiculous. But yeah, if y'all want to read more, article comes from the Associated Press. Headline reads, Senate looks to speed ahead on temporary funding to avert government shutdown through the holidays. All right. Going to the next one, checking the comments. Feels like the government is shut down even when they aren't shut down. At this point, we don't know where... Wow! We don't know where this life goes. I swear, every time. Y'all gonna probably go check back some of the other videos if you do. And this is the point where every time I'm listening to one of the songs I have, it pairs up to what I'm about to just say. Last I heard, they were reevaluating things again. Yeah, well, they got until Saturday to get the groove together, because if not, that means a lot of us either not getting paid or there's a number of stuff that is just gonna be chaotic. I'm not the best person to ask. I'm just wondering, because again, I'm not gonna put you out there where you at right now, my G, but I was just curious. So this article, I'm just gonna read the title and 3 of the bullet points, and then we'll move on. This article comes from the Business Insider, and the headline reads, a small group of farms in California use more water than entire cities, and it's mostly going to a single crop, according to a new report. So let's see what this is. So 3 bullet points so y'all will know what's going on. Especially, there's been a lot of farms and farmers going out of business and not being able to work due to either being bought out and different things, man. I'm an island boy. There it is. But the bullet points say, an investigation from ProPublica and the Desert Sun focused on farmers' water use in California. They found that 20 farming families used a majority share of one's region water. Most families use the water mainly to grow hay to feed livestock, the investigation found. So this water wasn't even, I was thinking that it was probably going to all of the soy and the soybeans, but nah, this is just for hay. I guess so. But if you want to read more about it, Business Insider, in an article titled, a small group of farms in California use more water than entire cities, and it's mostly going to a single crop, which is hay, according to a new report. All right. Next one. I don't know if this was a misclick or if this is really true, but I'm going to read what's happening with this one. So next article comes from Marca, and the headline reads, stimulus checks. How much money is the IRS sitting at the end of this month? I thought we was done, honestly, with stimulus check, especially with the bogus one that was sent out. Of course, appreciative, even though that's our money being re-taxed on top of taxed and then taxed again. But stimulus check. Let me see what this is about. 3 paragraphs. We out. Article reads, although there are no longer called stimulus checks, the IRS is sending aid payments this month. Interesting. There are many Americans who have been waiting for months. They received reports that a new stimulus check Data. See, they put data. They put like that and A together. THATA. Data. I never seen data. New stimulus check in the month of November was coming. Although they don't call them stimulus checks anymore, that's exactly what they are despite the name change. The IRS are the ones who made the call to offer these payments, but you need to apply for them. So you got to apply for this. A program that is known as the Economic Impact Payments, which is going to have its fourth round of payments rolling out by the end of November. In order to qualify, you need to be amongst the 4 category of individuals who qualify for this, according to the IRS. Once you qualify for this payment, you can visit IRS Tax Fourth Stimulus Checks 2023 official website in order to see all the details. So it looks like that they are going to be sending out the as if you apply. But yeah, I'm not going to read the other details. You'll probably be wondering like, okay, how much is it? And, is it taxable, et cetera, et cetera. Y'all can go find that information because you got to go to the website. But if you want to know more, again, this article comes from Marca, MARCA, and the headline reads, Stimulus checks. How much money is the IRS sending at the end of this month? So we blazing through them. I don't know which ones. I'm gonna say this article and you can look into it for yourself as well. But this article comes from CBS and the headline reads, another eye drop recall pulls 27 products from store shelves. There's been a lot of recalls, even without me even knowing. There's a number of recalls that continue to come up. But I'm just going to read the 2 paragraphs and then that's it. And we out. Another eye drop recall is pulling 27 products from store shelves, including store brand products sold at retailers such as CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and Walmart, with the recall coming about 3 weeks after the U.S. FDA warned people not to use or buy the eye drops. Killich Healthcare India is recalling eye drops with expiration dates ranging from November 2023 to September 2025, citing potential safety concerns after FDA investigators found insanitary conditions. According to news release posted Wednesday by the FDA. You can see the full list of recall eye drops here, so you can look it up there. But yeah, for my folks who are using eye drops and having, of course, contacts, be mindful of this. Shouts out to you, my G. Appreciate you, man, for coming through, man. Peace and love, man. Peace and love. Again, if you want to read more, article comes from CBS News. Headline reads, another eye drop recall pulls 27 products from store shelves. All of that. All of that. Now, I know this will hit home for a number of folks. I'm just going to read the headline and one paragraph for this one, and you can look through the rest. But this article comes from CNN, and the headline reads, NTSB head calls deaths on America's roads a public health crisis as Ohio high school mourned 6 killed in crash. I've noticed an uptick of car accidents as well as reckless driving since 2019. Partly also to do with COVID, but just the changing of the atmosphere. It's just been people really just either been in a rush, not taking their time. Oh my goodness, take the time. Again, here's another song that just popped right on it, but not taking the time to actually drive safely and just rushing everywhere they're going. There'll only be like a few people on the road. Now there's like a majority of them. But I'll read the first paragraph and then we're done. As an Ohio high school mourns 3 students, 2 parent chaperones, and a teacher killed in a crash this week, The head of the National Transport Safety Board, which is the NTSB, on Wednesday called the 43,000 annual deaths on America's roadways a public health crisis. So there go the numbers right there. 43,000 annual deaths on the road driving in a car. Again, shouldn't even say again. Sending my regards, sending love, peace, and, much strength to those families and everyone, the high schools, the people that they've lost. But yeah, I'm right there with them when it comes to these crashes on the road. It's really getting very perilous. I have a friend of mine that I know that he doesn't own a car, and part of that reason is this: having the responsibility to be behind something that could actually hurt, and cause damage and harm to somebody, if not, killing them. So it's a choice that he made. So, and he helps the economy in his own way by using Ubers, all the Lyfts, all of that. But can't be mad at him. It's just the pockets is going to be hurting. But again, if you want to read more about this, article comes from CNN. Headline reads, NTSB head calls deaths on America's roads a public health crisis as Ohio high school mourns 6 killed in crash. Yes. A quick one just to share with y'all. This one comes from Metro. Headline reads, 40 workers trapped in collapsed tunnel. And this collapsed tunnel in an Indian road has around 40 workers that have been trapped inside of it. Located on the Yamunotri National Highway in Yucatan State. So I'm just letting y'all know about that. It caught my eye. Hoping all the workers are well and they're getting themselves out. The strange with the hand motion. All right, this is the last article, and then I'm just going to read some headlines, and we're going to move on to the next topic. So appreciate y'all in here tapping in and staying with me. So this next article comes from Business Insider, and the title reads, I'm a Gen Z worker who just graduated and started my first full-time job. I was shocked by the 9-to-5 schedule. Number of reasons why that would be shocking for folks. But I'm just going to read the 3 bullet points, and we're going to be done with this. So, the article, bullet points. Piper Hansen graduated this spring and has been working full-time for less than a year. She says it's really depressing to work a 9-to-5 schedule. And Piper also says Gen Z workers can see there is a possibility for a better way of living. I'm not going to read more of it if you want to. The article comes from Business Insider, and the headline reads, I'm a Gen Z worker who just graduated and started my first full-time job. I was shocked by the 9-to-5 schedule. My thoughts on that: clearly, there has been a change and a shift to remote work, as well as, since we're talking about traditional and then modern, a lot of things, whether if it's being jobs replaced by robots or jobs being obsolete, so they're not even needing people to work in machines, as well as the sustainability of economy, a rising overhead of inflation and things being so expensive, is getting harder and harder to actually keep up with the Joneses and make it. So coming out of a spot and just going straight to working the 9-to-5 is not cutting it. It hasn't been cutting it for a while. That's why you got so many people doing get rich schemes, doing different MLM, doing 4 or 5 different jobs, hustling on the weekend, just a number of different avenues, because it's just not sustainable. A 9-to-5 schedule is not sustainable. Working 60 to 80 hours a week for minimum wage, if not less than, not sustainable at all. So you can see how it can be very, unfortunate, as well as like, wow, what else is there to this? Really ain't much, to be honest. You're just over broke, job, just over broke. And that was not even coming from me. But with that, y'all, if you want to read other articles and get some other headlines, I'm just not going to read them. I'm done with the news now. But if you want to, go to www.npr.org, www.npr.org. I don't sponsor, but this is just one of the other places that I don't go and get information, whether it's from there, MSN, CNN, all over the place. Just don't get one source, go to multiple sources. But with that being said, if y'all have any other news that you'd like to share or put down in the comments, please put them down in there. Share it with me. I'm grateful for it. And much love to all y'all. Now, with that being said, shouts out to Santi. I see you in here, my G. What's the word? Next thing that we're going to be getting into, next one, we're going to be talking about, going into the next topic, is the grand illusion. Shouts out to Pharaoh Monch. I love the song, The Grand Illusion. Shouts out to him. But what do we mean when we're talking about the grand illusion? And shouts out to the brother Notes in the building. Sincerely Notes. But at this part, Notes. What's good, my G? What's the word? So when we're speaking about the grand illusion, I don't necessarily think we need to look up definitions. If we know what illusions are, as well as what the grand is, we know that means is a lot. But when I'm thinking of the grand illusion, I'm thinking in a sense which I didn't even do, and I'm gonna have to bloop, 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 real quick and do the disclaimer and then get back into it. So for my folks, this is a disclaimer. As much as I love to talk with you in the comments, you're here sharing love and support and being present. I would love to see you also on camera so we can continue and get in and dive more. I swear, dive more into these topics. So if you do decide to join, just know that this will be recorded. This is live. This is going to be other different platforms. So if you're not comfortable with that, then you can stay in the comments. If you are, just know that you do wave your right. And this is going to be on other platforms. But if you're cool with that, we cool with that. If not, it's all good. We still here and you still supporting, and I appreciate you. All right, the disclaimer. We done. I forgot about that. But it said, I thought you went AI with the... I meant to do like a reverse, but hey, if I got some turntables coming, so I can see all sides. Shouts out to Sabu, the booth. But I was trying to do that at first, but I was just like, here we go. Yeah, AI's taking over. But when I think of the grand illusion, again, much love to Pharaoh Monch. I think of it in the sense of the grandest lie that we've been given or told, as well as all those many illusions that lead up to that biggest illusion. An illusion as in being something that we thought to have been there and it's actually not there, or even the reverse, that we actually know that's there, but we're told that it doesn't even exist. So it's interesting. I'm not going to say necessarily what I think the grandest illusion is. I probably will down the line, but not right now. But when I'm thinking of the grand illusion, it reminds me of not only just that song, and there's a number of songs that also speak about the grand illusion. It starts to make me think about what's really real in your immediate reality, as well as what's actually true information that's given to you versus hidden information. And what do you mean by what's information given to you as well as hidden information? The whole rhetoric behind also fake news, and what's the difference between fake news and real news? It gets to a point of not only where was this original information from, where is it coming from, where is it stemming from, but the whole school of thought when it comes to credibility. And I still have my gripes with it. I understand, and I'm learning to understand what it is. But every time when I think about somebody's credible in this particular area, or you need to have these folks back up your point for it to be credible, or when people like, where's this information you're getting it from? What source is it coming from? What makes a credible and reliable resource? It makes me go on a wild goose hunt. And the reason why I'm saying it makes me go on a wild goose hunt is if you really try to outline this stuff and you try to go further back to come figure out what and where the information is coming from, it makes you start to think, shouts out to my brother, what's going on, John, peace and love, what's the word? It makes you start thinking about, okay, if I go back, this person is credible in this area. Okay, who gave them the credibility? Then you go and find that person, like, okay, then who gave that person the credibility? It goes all the way back to a point of where and how did this all start? You know? Like, why and how do we create this, not only school of thought, but what is credible and what's not? Does it have to do with how much funding is being given? Does it have to do with, the years of experience that somebody ends up having? Does it have to do with just being knowledgeable of the area or that whole field? And they're just like, okay, this is going to be credible. Shouts out to Zenaloa. What's going on, my G? What's the word? And this dude, Bulbasaur, looking dead at me. Yeah, you already know. They all up there. I point right there. Bam. So when I think of this whole grand illusion and the grand exposure, shouts out to Clockwise, I start to really think at the end of the day what Talib Kweli said, and I still remember this. Wherever I go, I still remember this from the song. I always do say it. I've said it a few times here on What's the Word. From the song Human Mike. You can you can have your own opinions, but not your own facts. It gets to a point where I know you can use the scientific method to train out or find this information and use statistics, but even to a certain point there is statistical error. So to me it gets to a point that we're just all here walking around with our opinions and what we think could be credible and what's not credible through these parameters versus what is actually actual. And you're like, okay, but what does that still have to do with a grand illusion? That's where you see all of this of me backtracking and trying to figure out who and what's credible to what source and that source. It gets into a whole field of confusion. So when you're talking about a grand illusion, part of that has to do with confusion. For you to be fooled by the illusion, you have to literally be confused about, is there even something happening right now? So do I even see the apple that's in front of me? Or is there even an apple there in the first place? But then that's one person saying that there's an apple there. The other person is saying, no, you tripping. The apple was there 3 weeks ago. So it gets to a point of, all right, who am I listening to? Who decides what the fact is? Exactly. It's to the point of like, okay, we can go outside and you can say the air, like there is air. But in actuality, can you see air? I'm not talking about wind. I'm talking about air. It's the particles that make up air or whatever, it necessarily is. You can't touch air. You think it's the wind. You can feel the air, really not with your hands, but it goes through on your body. But that's the wind. So at the same time, just like you said, who's the one that's deciding what fact is and what isn't? Is there really an ultimate truth or an absolute truth? Or is there more so half truths, half lies, and it's parading as the truth, which again goes back to this whole idea of what is a grand illusion, and why is that even the case? So when I'm going through my day to day, of course not all the time I'm thinking about stuff like this, but it does pop up because it's not in the sense of I'm trying to be dominating over everybody, or if I know better than anybody, because I'll be the first person to be like, if I don't understand, I don't understand. If I can do this and I have the ability to do so, I will do it. But it gets to a point sometimes that I'm like really questioning when I'm working. Does this make sense for me? Like, I'm doing this particular job, and then when I try to do the particular job, there's 59 different ways that you can do the job. But when you want to think about it specifically for whatever arena that you're working in, this is a specific way that you do it because of the fact that the owners and the founders are the ones that did it this way, and that's why it continues to be a tradition that way. So things of that sort, that's where it starts at least to put me in the, in a sense and a hint of like, okay, it's a perspective. This is how they're approaching it, because then again, it's been proven to work for them from that perspective. But when you go bogarting and telling everybody that this is the way you need to be looking at stuff, that's where it gets confusing. And then people are only going to listen to those folks because of the fact that they have some type of notoriety or they have some type of backing, whether if that's financial or again notoriety. It gets to a point of, okay, so then what are we really trying to get at? Are we trying to get to the issue, or are we trying to show who has more credibility of the issue? So the celebrity contest type thing. So it gets to a point again, not only the confusion's there, but then it gets to the entitlement of the information of like, oh, I know all of this stuff, so you're supposed to be following my formula. When again, there's so many different ways for you to grow a tree. There's so many different ways for you to drive a car. There's so many different ways for you to furnish a house. There's just not one way of doing things. But what ends up happening is, I get it, for a lot of us, if we have a multitude of many choices, we get confused within that of like, what are we supposed to be using? It causes more confusion than clarity. So again, it adds to the whole grand illusion. That's why it's important to follow your own truth. That's the only one you can really buy into, in a sense. But you got to be very careful that you not only stick to your truth for a very, very long time. And what I mean by that is, always go back and check. Always go back if you got to update something, or if it still stands and rings true from where originally you placed it. You always got to go back and test the waters. I'm not saying that you have to keep quizzing yourself every single day. You don't have to keep quizzing yourself every, 2-3 years, whatever it may be. But if you know it's information that's outdated and it's not working anymore, then there's something that needs to be, reassessed. Not saying that that's the only thing, but yes, that is just, it's a good marker not only to see where you are, but how far you came, and see if, again, has it changed in any way, shape, or form? Is it still helping you be successful? Is it still helping you be a better individual than you were the next day? Then rock with it. Are you hurting other people? If it's none of those things and many more to think of, then continue to rock with it. But there's some certain points where you come up against a wall, and you do got to look at, okay, what is the truth I'm looking at from? Why is somebody else on the outside looking from it that way? So I think of not only having your truth in the sense of having your foundation of how you navigate the world, but at the same time being open to understanding, overstanding, outerstanding, and understanding other people's truth and how they're picturing this world. Their perceptions helps to, guide where you're still going. If you're going to stay there, of course, in your lane, but at the same time, have not only, because I don't want to always say tolerance, but also just having the respect, which a lot of us lose of that because we let our feelings, our ego, our entitlement, and what we think is right supersede or block out seeing the other person or other people's. And that's what goes on, as people get triggered from that, and then they just don't want to listen. They don't want to hear anything. There's not effective communication after that happens. When someone gets hurt, that's it. There's end of discussion. There is no discussion. There is no reasoning after that, because they're there now in an emotional state. So everything that's being said is being rejected. And even from the start, if you can tell that somebody's not open into hearing or listening, then you know that it's, for lack of better words, it's a waste of time. And when that becomes a waste of time, it's sad, but that's why you just keep trucking forward and just listening and handling your own business. But you always gotta retest, reassess, and reflect with what truth that you got. Like, you have to make sure. Because if not, you get stuck in a grand illusion. It's all an illusion. Shouts out to my brother Reed Notes. Because it can all be just in your mind. Even though we see this reality, through the eyes, they still say that a percentage of it is just only 10% is of what we really perceive. I'll just give it this 20%, while the other 80% is stuff that we can't even fathom, in the sense of what is here, what's real or not. We speak about there's a physical, mental, spiritual war. They're on all levels and platforms. So it's really hard to get a balanced sense of what's truly going on. But the very important piece of doing that is, like you said, is, diving into finding out what's your truth and finding out what really works for you. Because if you don't, you're going to be in this world completely lost. I'm going to be honest with you. You're going to be struggling. You're going to be figuring out how you're going to live your life. You're going to be anxious. All the other stuff that we can talk about that are symptoms of, again, unbalanced life. There's so much of it. Depression. Like I said, anxiety. Fear. Irritation. Or I should say, being angry. Frustration. Antisocial behavior. There's a lot of stuff where those become symptoms of the biggest issue of part of the grandest illusion. And now I'm getting to it. At first I was like, I wasn't gonna say anything about it, but now, to me, y'all can have another one, because there's so many of them. Because again, perspectives are unlimited. To me, the grandest illusion that has been played on all of us, the grandest illusion is being in touch with the world outside of you and not inside. So, not building yourself up so that you can be prepared to live in this physical world, but to neglect what's inside, because the outside is where it's at. It offers everything. When in a sense, the inside offers everything and the outside is additions to what is already there. Because from birth, and this is my thought process around it, from birth, if you were, of course, there's no complications, things of that, etc. stuff. You were born, you were already given all the tools that you were needed to survive and utilize to be the best version of yourself. The issue with that is when we are born, we don't know this. We are taught this in a system, in a place that we are in. We see this in our families. We see this from a cultural standpoint. We fall in line with it. We get programmed with it. And then we wonder, are we even really truly living at that point? And when we are rushing ourselves, making ends meet, just trying to get by, we lose out, we forget where it all started. It started within. You were inside your parent, your mother. You were born from inside and came out. How do trees, how does nature interact with the world itself? It starts off with a seed, then it grows up. And what happens is we grow up so fast without reflecting on the process of how we got there. And it's because of the fact that we do not utilize and take the time to do so, because we learn that it's not an important piece to have. Like they say, loosely, like, oh yeah, you're going to go through life finding yourself. You're going to get through experiences that's going to help you grow as a person. Taking this job is going to help build your character. But truly, what does that all mean? It's just all sentiments. It's all just words just being spewed out and said. Again, a lot of actions have more concrete proof versus just words being said. So I can say, meditation is a great thing to do. I can say exercise is a wonderful practice that you can use. I can say gratitude is a wonderful practice you can use. I can say listening to music is one of the best ways to help calm and soothe yourself because of how influential music is when it comes to relating with your emotions. I can say those things. But if you don't live it for yourself, you don't go through the experience of trying each one of those to see what actually works, then you won't actually know if that works for you. That's how you're not going to know if you're going to find that true for yourself. That's how you're not going to be able to take that time to really sit and build upon yourself to figure out, is this what I truly need? Is this person that's right here happy with the outcomes so far? And when you start to do that reflection and self-reflection, that's where you start to wean out a lot of this. And you start to figure out what really is you really get to see what is your true interest. You get to see what really drives you. You get to see what is your why. Besides, of course, for us as humans to naturally just repopulate this earth and keep generations going. Of course, that to keep the species happening. But on a very individual level, how do you create an impact to leave on this world? And it doesn't have to be fortune, fame, and it doesn't need to be these big accolades, but really, what is your why and your purpose? I know it just went from like, wait, what? We talking about a whole illusion, but see, that's what happens with the grand illusion for me is you lose sight of who you are and a sense of who you are to follow what's happening in a system that is moving fast forward and not giving you time to sit back and reflect because you are rushing life. And when you rush life, are you really living in full existence? That's what I like to break it down as life, living in full existence. Are you really living life? And in a sense, no, you're not. You don't even have a foundation. You barely know what you like. You might know some things here and there, but the reason why you know you like some of that stuff is because of the fact that you've either been told by somebody else that you like that stuff, people have cooked the things for you, or you just, you like this color. You know very shallow aspects of yourself and not the deep parts of yourself. People talk about doing the shadow work. Others talk about doing, the trauma work on what's happened in your past, because your childhood is a huge indicator of how you will be able to maneuver this life. If you don't go back and get a lot of that stuff in check, it makes it extremely difficult for you to continue to find value not only in yourself, but in others and life itself. A person who has found not only serenity, but peace, justice, courage, wisdom, knowledge. There's many different pillars, whether we can talk about Buddhism, we can talk about Stoicism, we can talk about the earths and the gods, 5%ers, any type of religious text. If we don't build upon these particular virtues and have these within our arsenal, we gonna be enslaved. We gonna be enslaved to a lot of these things that are around us. So we're gonna continue to buy into this grand illusion because of the fact that there's nothing sacred within here. Everything outside is sacred. All the seven to eight wonders of the world are sacred. But people in itself, if you can't value yourself, it's hard for you to value the person next to you. You can do it to a certain extent, but it's not enough to fill your cup and know where you're coming from. So this grand illusion, to me, the grand illusion, again, from my perspective, the grandest illusion is worrying about everything else outside of you versus building on what's inside of you. So being programmed to only follow, but not lead yourself back into yourself to know yourself. Therefore, build upon that and navigate outside in the world. To me, that's the grandest illusion. And some of my, where's your receipts? Where's your credibility? All this other stuff to it. Examples that I have of this being the grandest illusion is not only time. How much time do you have in a day? I think I spoke about this last episode. How much time do you have throughout your day? How much time do you have dedicated to just being with yourself? That should tell you that right there. As well as what is being pushed to you on a daily basis. Media wise, thoughts wise, relationships wise, what's being pushed to you on a daily basis? Now there's more of a push, especially I've seen, of going to go ask for help and get help from others. I see that it's a wonderful thing. But beforehand, you can turn on any of the nearest TVs. I don't watch cable, don't watch television in that sense. YouTube is where I get all my access and stuff. But you'll see for women, all the makeup, all the surgeries, all of the marketing behind all of that to cover up what is truly there, to mask the mascara, because the mask is scary when you really take it off to look at who you are. So we're masking the pains, we're masking what we truly are just for outward validation, when it should be the inward validation. But again, this is an example, at least from women, when it comes to makeup and all this other stuff. I could be wrong. I can get blazed in the comments for it, but this is just my thought process, because a lot of the advertisement and marketing folks, they have a hint in the sense of psychology. They know this stuff. They know what gets people clicking, what keeps people on websites buying, all of this stuff. They're experts at this. They know human nature and human psychology. But what it is also another example is on a day-to-day basis, how much attention do you pay to stuff happening in your life? How much attention do you pay to that stuff? And then on the reverse, like I said earlier, again, when it came to the time. Now, how much attention do you pay to yourself? Just you, by yourself. There's more examples, but those are just popping from my head. But that's why not getting in touch with yourself and thinking that everything else outside of you is what's worth it, to me, it's the grandest illusion that's pulled over your eyes, because it's a real thing, but in the world it's still telling you it's not a real thing. Wow. You fumbling through trying to figure this stuff out. Yes, I'm fumbling myself, but there's a lot of foundation that I've had built that it helps me to be able to, again, take this stuff in. Am I doing it on a day-to-day basis? No, but I do make sure that I remind myself as best as I can. I recommend getting some type of motto or phrase you live by, or some reminder that helps you to remember what's your purpose, what's your why, and what you're doing, so that you could take a moment to just that pause, to really think about, what am I here to do? What can I do? What do I need to do? And how am I going about doing it? But I love these comments. Let me see what popping up in there. Facts. See what you did there. You already know, my G. It's interesting to me that most holy sites are off limits to all now. Yes. Access to education is different all over the country. Very true. Very true. And that's where it's important. Again, when you are fully educated, shouts out to John Henrik Clarke, one of my favorite, if not my favorite ancestor. It says, the powerful cannot afford to help the people they oppress. Because once you are truly educated, the powerful cannot afford to educate the people they oppress, because once you are fully educated, you will not ask for power, you will take it. John Henrik Clarke. That's why knowledge itself for me is essential. It's essential. You cannot go about doing much of anything if you don't even know yourself or what you doing. If you don't know what your left hand is doing and your right hand can't even figure out what it's doing, how are you going to be able to drive your car? I know I'm using very subtle examples, but just being honest. You're not going to be able to do a lot of stuff if you don't even know your own capabilities of doing this stuff. And it's fine to fumble through, but there's going to be a point in time that you're going to be getting tired of tripping through life. We have too many people that's tripping. Some of them are still trying to catch themselves before they fall. Others, they just continue to trip to a point that they start tripping others. And now that's where we cause all the conflict. And that's where it gets back into the distractions, the confusion, and the wasting of time. All of that stuff. And the drama. I'll even add another acronym I did with the students that just popped off the top. Came from my thought process. One of the students was having an issue with this group of girls. She was just, again, decided to separate herself because she was noticing this was just not a good setup for her. But there became a whole, bullying situation. But I got to a point where I told them, we don't want to get involved with any of that. And I used the acronym of DAT, which is DAT, which stands for drama, attention, and time. We don't want to get involved with that. We don't want to get involved with the drama. We don't want to give them the attention, and we don't want to give them the time. Because when we do that, it takes away from us and what we're trying to do. So we don't get involved with that. Stay away from that. But it's important. Education is the key. Knowledge is the door. But wisdom is the access to all. So education, we got the key. Education is that key. Knowledge is the door. Now we need to open that key with the education to unlock this knowledge so that we get the whole room of wisdom. And when we don't have that access, we have what happens here. You say, here's why WB, they tell me that we talking about my struggle is negative to these folks. I'm limited to see what's outside the area. They tell me I need to assimilate, while my views is what makes me way different if we all American. As many facts as we bring up to the table, up to the others to decide whether they want to accept the reality. Again, everyone has their own reality, their own way of looking at stuff, their own truth. As one of the other folks in here, shouts out to Zenaloa, said earlier, again, it's up to them. And it is unfortunate, but at the end of the day, shouts out to Stoicism. Shouts out to a lot of philosophies of thought. We have the immediate power to only share and have control of us. We can have an impact of what happens outside of us, but we only have true autonomy over ourselves. So it's important to take care of self. Because when you take care of self, then you understand, understand, and understand how to take care of everything else. Not have full influence over stuff, but again, letting go, attachment of things, and being okay with certain outcomes. You can always still fight for what you stand strong and firm on, values, morals. Please do, because this is vital, especially nowadays. It seems like it's not. People are jumping to trends, jumping to debauchery. Yes, I'm using big words this episode. I'm just doing it because I feel like it, because I know I want to add those words out there without any recourse, without anything happening to them, and then come back and get upset why these things are happening to them. You chose a lifestyle, you chose a philosophy, a way to live, and these are the outcomes that are going to happen. But I won't if they want me to. No, just keep speaking what you wanna feel. Again, I still put the parameters of, is it helping you be a better individual? Is it physically harming someone else? And is it helping you to create a foundation to grow? If it's all of that, then you keep doing what you need to do. Again, I shouldn't even say again. Struggle is what creates the growth. There has to be some type of resistance. We don't have any resistance, then it's hardly, if not close to, any growth. And yes, I'm talking in a physical sense of, lifting weights, using resistance bands, exercising. The body tells you that growth comes from doing these things. And the biggest indicator of that too is when you sleep. That's when your body is actually building itself up. That's where it's going through its restorative and building process. Because throughout the day, we break ourselves down for the hormones and sleep to build ourselves back up. So it's important, of course, getting quality sleep. But at the same time, a plant is not going to grow if it doesn't have that resistance from the ground, resistance of the elements that are adding to it, as well as mentally. If you don't come across difficult questions, trying to look for answers, learning more, it becomes harder and harder for you to grow if you do not take on those challenges and that resistance. Again, there's a number of words that we can use synonymously or we can interchange, and they still have the same function. If you're not a person for talking about resistance, then you can use challenges. If you're not the type of person that wants to talk about challenges, then you can talk about struggles. All of those together is just letting you know that for something to happen, to change, to get better, there has to be some type of force that is going up against. And it's not like you want to keep seeking it out all the time. Not that necessarily, but it's more so that's just the natural progression of things. You want to get better at learning how to build your own business? Oh, then you're going to have to do a lot of research. For some people, okay, I'm going to go to school to do this stuff. And when you go to school, there's also going to be a graded portion of things. So that means if you don't pass the class, you're going to need to get this particular grade. You can always still have the knowledge, of course. You have the education because you got in the key part. But at the same time, you have that challenge that is there, full force, happening. So it's going to continue to happen until you decide, I'm done. I don't need any more of this. I'm going to either go try something different or I'm okay with what I have. This is all I need. And again, that's wonderful. But at the same time, you have to go back, reflect, have that time to understand, understand your truth and that information that you have. Because there's always going to be an update. There's always going to be something new that's happening with what you got and what you're learning. Always, always. So why is ignorance condoned and why is violence preferred versus education? It's a lot of primitive stuff, you know. It's that for me is it's a lot of primitive stuff, but it's a part of the psyche of human nature. It's so much easier to give into the emotional side of ourselves versus the logical side of ourselves, because the emotional side of ourselves, that's reactionary, versus the logical side of aspects is responsibility or responsive. So when you are in an emotional state, you just react to every single thing without any second thought, versus responsibility, which is having the ability to respond accordingly to the situation. There is a wonderful dance and relationship that emotions and logic has together. They call it emotional intelligence, but not emotional intelligence in the sense of how at least psychology and other places try to describe it. More so in a sense of knowing when one precedes the other, which one takes the helm to drive, versus when the other one is backseat waiting to then have a conference to figure out what works. They come together versus not having one at all. Oh, you just gonna run this, that's it, boom. Oh, he socked me in the face, bah, I'm gonna just sock him right back in the face. Okay, shoot, they just cut me off, boom, I'm gonna cut them right back off. It ends up getting an accident, causing it's having, again, the ability, and it's so much easier to be violent. It's so much easier to let things slide versus address issues and also speak for what is right. And then it makes it be like, okay, then what type of prizes or what type of benefit am I getting from this? Not everything needs to be beneficial at every point in time. We do that as beings, as humans, as folks. We do look for what's most beneficial for us. That's just in tune here. But knowing when and having the acumen and the wisdom to know when it's a time for, okay, you have to make this particular sacrifice because it's for the quote unquote greater good, versus this is what's going to help me stay comfortable within myself. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. I know that is super cheesy, but a lot of these sayings, especially in English, I don't know in many other languages they're here for a reason. You decode them and then you'll figure out what that really does for your learning process on this earth. So it's important for all of that stuff. But let's see. There's so much going on here. Unfortunately, education isn't available to all, as certain requirements hold people from obtaining it. From a certain aspect, yes. From others, there's always ways to maneuver around that. I'm not saying you're going to get your internet blocked. I don't know. We would have to play it, by each experience and figure out what can be done. But I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't even, right now, I work in education, especially here in California. I'll just speak only US wise. I don't know education systems around the world. But I'm going to tell you right now, the US education system is atrocious. It is terrible. I really empathize with the kids and the students that I work with when it comes to what they learning in the classroom and what they're telling me. You know, this is boring. This don't make no sense. They have us learning this when I'm over here worrying about this. So I know it's better to have something than nothing, but at the same time, that's a waste to just put stuff that you don't necessarily want to even be using in the first place to take up space for stuff that would be helpful, beneficial, as well as not only serving you, but it's going to eventually help serve and help others for you to become a steward or a servant. And not serving in the sense of like, oh yeah, everybody's better than me. Like, no, it's like doing your part, being a part of a community, which we rarely have a lot of those. We say we are a community, but really it's just that we commune in one place and then leave. The community is just not only when we want it to be convenient for ourselves. Community it's a project. It's a day in, day out, checking in, seeing how people are doing, really communicating, really figuring out what are the issues and ills, showing love, respect to others that are around you, and really building a rapport. So then that ultimately, when something does come up, the community got you, and vice versa. When somebody in the community is struggling, you got them. But we don't got that. A lot of us. And I'll put myself in there. I love to. I'm really, non-existent when it comes to knowing a lot about my own community, what's happening around in just my city in general. Because there's always something happening. But unfortunately, a lot of things are not displayed. Or because we got this 9 to 5, we continually are working. We find it that it's very hard enough for us to find time for yourself to breathe. Now, how we going to go and be able to give of our time and service for other people when we ain't even got the time to help service ourselves first? Again, I can't fill up your cup if I don't have any water in mine. I have to at least have some in mind from be able to help you. So I feel you. Said personal views and other stories are heard many out there say, well, you were looking for trouble. Interesting. So when I hear that, I think in the sense of what they're coming at is it's taboo. You shouldn't be going in that area, and you shouldn't be going in that area. So that's why you're looking for that to be happening to you, because you're going into that area. That doesn't necessarily mean that you are looking for trouble, but they know that's something you should not be doing because you can get yourself in trouble. That's why. Which condone the attackers where the violence as is where they're from are expected to be model minorities. Yeah, that whole concept was all pushed all over the place. But yeah, saying most out here don't allow that, as asking questions can get you off. Again, it's a interesting, unfortunate, messy, extravagant, but also beautiful space and place we're in right now. But it's all a matter of creation. Shouts out to spatial awareness. Shouts out to the booth. It's all about creation, whether if it's what it is or what you make of it. LA's a whole different beast. LA's a whole different beast. Again, I still feel very naive when it comes to knowing of all the ins and outs when it comes to LA. I felt more competent when I lived in Seattle, and I was under a year. I felt more that I knew more about downtown Seattle, as well as Renton, Tacoma, like various areas. Rainier Beach, Rainier Valley, Bellingham. Like, I felt more confident in all the different pieces and parts of areas in Seattle than I do still here in LA. Like, I know a bit of different cities, but like the ins and outs, it's ridiculous. But to round out this, so I want to jump into the last topic. But if y'all still have more, please put them down in the comments. The grand illusion put in place for you to be conflicted, confused, enthused, used, abused, and lost to know what's really going on. So the grand illusion, from small illusions, rather, I know I was just decided to rhyme all this stuff. From small illusions and lies, all the way up to the grandest illusions and lies, it was put here to create the disconnect when you're supposed to be fully connected. I'll even use another metaphor or example. This phone, social media. I'm just going to go to energy aspect. Social media, from its inception, those creating it, it was used to connect. It was used to connect. It's used to get involved and learn more about not only what's happening locally, but globally. That's in its inception. But as time pressed on, we have lost. We have actually become more disconnected, more separated, more at odds than we first were when we first started. A lot of people still love MySpace, and people going on the page, everybody trying to friend Ted, or the creator of MySpace, all these other different things. But now, that social aspect of social media has actually disconnected us even more. And because of that fact, it creates a grander illusion of what is truly happening, because you have this person's timeline saying this, that person's timeline saying that, have this funny video that was sent to you, have this inappropriate video that's sent to you, you have somebody else over here yelling at that person, you have this person just saying something very simple, but then now it's taken and blown out of place, they're canceled, a numerous examples when it comes to that. And now, because it becomes so complicated, again, for me, the grandest illusion, connecting with yourself, but you become a part of this world and it disconnects you further from yourself. Social media came to connect people, create a community. Now it is creating more smaller, created, distant themselves from other folks and people and communities, in a sense, disconnecting themselves. So if you never fully get that connection, the charge, understanding, understanding, all of that stuff, you've been swallowed up by the grand illusion. All the many illusions leading up to the grandest one, it all creates a picture. It is a tapestry. It is a piece of art. So pay attention. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. There's more that could be said, but I don't want to keep running in circles and repeating the same things over and over. This is my thoughts on it. But now I want to get into the last topic of tonight. And the last topic I have for tonight, before we close out with this episode, the topic is, or the question is, who is your worst enemy. Now, for my folks who are new, are still learning about what's the word Wednesday, first thing is you hitting it at the tail end, but I still appreciate rather regardless popping in and getting accustomed to the stuff, but it's the tail end. Second thing is I always pair these topics with each other on purpose. Nothing is done just because I just want to do it, but it is purposefully done. Because we're talking about a grand illusion, now finding out with all of that grand illusion, who's really the worst enemy in all of that? So, y'all tell me in the comments. I heard one earlier. Y'all got more. Please tell me in your own reality, how you look at it and see, etc., etc. Who is your worst enemy? And you can join as well too if you want to speak about this as well. But yes, and soon, if we don't fix it for the kids, oh yeah, that's the important piece with a lot of this too. Besides, of course, who's our own worst enemy is we are building for future generations. If we do not put our best foot forward, or we don't try our best to do so, we're not only failing ourselves, but we are failing the future generations to come. I know there's a proverb or saying within the Native American, and it can also just be a lot of just other tribes and ancient tribes, this idea and philosophy of what you do now impacts the next 7 generations. Just showing you how far along that thinking is. And it's not to say that you can't find joy in this life and actually work towards having, fun and living your quote unquote best life. But at the same time, living your best life with intention. Because some people can just go through life just going through life and not worrying about how they just went through life, because it's only them in their mind. Some people think of generations in mind. So if I want my next generation of kids, people that's going to be here, actually get to see these 8 wonders of the world, which there's many more, I should show respects to the world by doing my part, whether if that is honestly less plastic, anything that is harmful, to lessen how much harm I put on the earth and the world versus adding more to it. So not adding more suffering, pain, trouble, trauma, and destruction to the world, but helping to beautify it while I'm here. And that's, at least to me, when I think of that concept, whether it is from Native American tribes or from just ancestors in general of the next 7 generations, have that in mind. Because shoot, I would love to. I want to make sure that we still got trees at this point, because they trying to knock down all the different tropical forests. They're trying to continue to create a lot of artificial places and spaces while still trying to be connected to nature. It's a very contradictory way of doing so. I understand that that's just how progression of society, human nature, and the civilization is moving. But at the same time, for you to be truly connected with nature is to be with nature, not get rid of. Nature, to me, is one of the best teachers. And if you don't follow through with learning from nature, which is right by you, it makes it harder and harder for you to be connected to the earth. Again, you're like, oh, the tree huggers and these folks that just are hippie, psychedelic, and all. No, it ain't even gotta be like that. It's the way and your intention around what respect you have for life. Like, it's, to me, after a while, it becomes very clear That's just the way of the world. Shouts out to Earth, Wind, and Fire. That's the way of the world. And how you add your attention on top of that is what's going to help you make it through those crashing of the waves, those hard times, those difficult talks, those difficult situations. Is learning the flow of life and moving along with it as masterfully as you can, or as skillfully as you can. So I haven't even got to the part, but y'all let me know down in the comments. And shouts out to JT. Who, I should say, who is your worst enemy? I'm going to speak on who my worst enemy is. And most of us will have similar answers, similar questions. But yes, that it says wild trees create rain, which we learn from Amazon forest. Yes, which many native people speak of our earth as part of us, as water flows through us all. Yes, and you getting into the whole concept, which I can't even. I had a terrible time when trying to Benvenisti is like one of the. It's like Benvenisti as well as Masako, or I'm saying them all completely wrong. If y'all want to know what I'm talking about, I have an episode called Words Are Real Spells, episode 8. Like, literally, that whole episode was talking about that concept of not only how we remember stuff, but then also the water aspect of we are, again, about roughly 60 to 70% of our body is water. And then there's areas, of course, in your body where the percentages break down and it's different. But yeah, really, you are what you eat and consume. And water does have memory. Yes. Again, me and you, we there. We already know it. We already know it. For real. But who's your worst enemy? For me, I'm going to say, of course, it's myself. Because beyond that, there are detractors, but not necessarily people that I will wholeheartedly call my enemy. Because once you say enemy, that's your inner me. That's inner you. So you saying that that person outside of you is your inner you, and it's not a reflection of you. For me, it definitely for sure is me, because I'm the one that stops myself at times when I make certain decisions. I come across certain problems and I don't actually plan accordingly or correctly to actually solve these things. Ain't nobody else. Nobody else is steering me. Nobody else is giving me the mind and the thoughts to do this stuff. Nobody else is telling my soul that I'm actually being there, that this is what's happening, what's going on. That's me. 1000% is me. And learning that if that's the case, where do I go about creating a better version to help not only just fix, but enhance those abilities? That's always the next piece. A better version of yourself when it comes to, of course, that inner me. The inner me is the inner me. Yo, what's going on? What's the word?
You said the word enemy,
Here
and
we
you
go.
know how I do. I gotta find an acronym for enemy. Embracing new errors makes you.
That's true, man. Again, I'm gonna tell y'all now. Go and follow and support Dope Female Trainer for real. Especially, again, if you are a lover of acronyms, you are going to fall in love with all the number of acronyms that she comes up with. It's amazing. Shouts out to my brother Accurate. What's going on, man? Peace and love. You already know we in here.
I would say if you were to ask me who was my worst enemy, I would say I don't have an enemy.
Mm,
Just because we ain't friends don't make you my enemy. I want to see you eat, but just not at my table.
mm.
Know who that came from, right? Who said that?
Oh, please tell me.
Tupac said it. He said, just because we ain't friends don't make you my
Mm-hmm.
enemy. I want to see you eat, but just not at my table. So I,
Hmm.
I want everybody to move forward And just because we have differences of opinion,
Yeah.
we don't see eye to eye. You ain't strong enough to be my enemy because we ain't on the same level. The only way you might
Exactly.
is if you have the power to subdue me or the power to destroy me. You don't have it. I just don't look at people as enemies. I just look at them as that we're not on the same page right now. We have different roads that we're traveling down. As long as you go your way and I don't intervene with yours, we good.
Exactly.
I just, it's certain words I don't give energy.
Exactly.
I don't use the word enemy or the word devil. I don't use it. I don't use it. I don't have a reason to because
I hear that.
I just don't have that reason. Certain words you just don't use because you're not in that space to have to use it. But I
Again,
respect your
words are real spells. For real. They are. It is. And there's definitely, I'm on the same boat with you. There's definitely words that I've either just say removed from my own personal reasons in my vocabulary, but will periodically use them to at least help someone else gain a understanding, 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 overstanding of why that word in particular is not why I'm using it. Till they be like, oh, okay, now I get your reasoning behind it. But in practice, yeah, there's certain words that's definitely not worth your time to do so. That energy can be placed elsewhere. It can help you, climb bigger mountains. If you decided to keep worrying about that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all those 5 words, that could have been another 5 miles you could have went, but you worried about using those words so many times.
okay, you right. So the word words stands for where obstacles reveal destruction successfully.
Mm,
Where
mm.
obstacles reveal destruction successfully. Word. I gotta write that one down.
Look, please. Again, we coming with it. And shout out to everybody that's popping up in here. Professor Cannabis, what's going on, my G? What's the word? And what's up with the battles, man? Let me know what's happening. Uh, but yeah, just for clarification for other folks too. Again, however you are looking at this is how you're looking at it. Like how earlier we were talking about, again, that it's very hard for everyone to be objective in a lot of stuff because, again, we have emotions, we have our logic, and a lot of people are very reactionary, so they focus on the immediate right now, this feeling, I need to get rid of it, or I need to display it without any thought, versus taking the response, having the responsibility, the ability to respond to that given situation and actually plan or come accordingly of how to work through it.
Absolutely.
Not work at it, but work through it.
Absolutely. There was a young man. I think I told you this on the last show that I was on with you.
Yes.
Even your words dictate what you see, or your sight dictates your words.
Yes.
So there was this young man who was boxing. He came to the gym and him and his dad were going. I guess his dad thought he was a trainer, so I just stepped back and let him do it. And every punch he threw at the target, he missed it.
Yes.
I said, do me this favor. I said, close your eyes. He said, why? I said, because everything you looking at, you missing. I said, when a punch come your way, you ain't gonna be able to see it no way. So close your eyes. So when he closed his eyes, he hit every target. So he was like, well, how did you do that? I said, well, what I first did was I looked at you overlooking. You couldn't see for looking. And so that's why he started to get frustrated, and the words that came out of his mouth started to consume his ability to focus. And he could not focus because everything he saw he missed, and it started to project out of his mouth. I said, close your eyes.
Mm.
And he closed his eyes and he hit every target. And after that he didn't say a word.
Yes. Yeah. Shouts out to High Vibrational Thursdays. Much love. Yeah.
I know that, yeah. That guy right there, that crew right there in downtown Lithonia, they are a great crew to be around. They're
Mm,
very great. They actually dive into the community. So he's really good with words. Like this guy right here,
yeah.
they're very good with words. They speak, and they are very educated. When I tell you that they speak intentionally, and they think before they speak, which is a very big thing. A lot
Yes.
a lot of people talk,
Yes.
Talking is dangerous, but when you're speaking, then you're feeding. There's a difference.
Mm. Mm. So food for thought doesn't just come from the talk. It actually comes from what people are speaking.
No, no, no. Say it again. Say it
Food
again.
for thought
Okay.
doesn't come from the way that people are
There
talking, but how they're
you go.
speaking.
Absolutely. It's what you speak rather than what anybody can talk.
Yes.
But it's when you're speaking is which what feeds the soul.
Yes.
Talking is like junk food candy. You're just trying to impress people. But when you speak, you're actually feeding, you're nourishing, you're actually providing a sense of power and nourishment to a person. Like, oh, okay, now I can
Yes.
see what you're saying. There's a difference. There's a difference. And I prefer to listen to people speak more so than talk. Anybody can talk.
I hear that. And like I say, it's like the last samurai. He was too worried about everyone and everything. Guy tells him to close his eyes and pay no mind and just do it.
Just do it. Just do it. And you know what? Nike stands for now I know everything.
Oh, for real?
I
I
can't
know
wait.
everything.
Now I know everything. Just do it.
Actions louder than words, but end of the day, they'll remember what you did versus what you say.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You better say that.
Mm-hmm. Said the power of the tongue creates and destroys realities. Yes.
That's high vibration. This, yeah, it's cool. Well, I just wanted to come up and just tell you that you are, you're very necessary. You're
I
very,
appreciate
very
it.
much appreciated, and this platform may not reach the masses, but it's reaching the ones that need to hear it.
Yes.
And it's not about the amount of knowledge you have; it's the quality, and it's about what you're speaking to the ones who are actually in need of hearing it. Because how terrible is wisdom that gains so profit to a man that's wise.
Mm.
You have wisdom that needs to be shared. Don't not, and I know that's a double negative. Don't not share because you don't have the actual platform. It may not be for everybody. It
Yes.
may be just intended for those who are listening, and that's what it's supposed to be. And listen. You got to listen.
Mm.
And I appreciate you so much. I greatly appreciate you.
Likewise, I appreciate when you do pop in and then again give your thoughts and share because at the end of the day, just with a lot of things within life, and I've come to learn it very young. It's really not about me. It's about we. And I always make sure, even though this is season finale of all of this stuff, and there's been years and years of this information, people are going to take, and we still going to have these conversations going here and there, but it won't be necessarily in this, this realm. But just to learn to build off of each other and to learn from each other, because at the end of the day, again, I know nothing, but when I do come across others that we all come in and we share our reasons, now we come to have a better understanding, overstanding, and understanding of all that there is.
You said
So it's
you made a great statement. You said, "I know nothing." What everything that God places in your heart for you to reveal is not for you to understand. It's for you to be a conduit, a
KT.
it's for you to be the deliverer, the messenger. Everything that He puts into you to deliver is not meant for you to understand because it's not meant for you to receive. It's just that
Yes.
you are the messenger. So whoever it's intended for, they will get it. So when you make that statement, I saw what you were saying. You said, I don't know anything. It's not for you to know. It's for you to do. Just do it. Just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever it's meant to touch, and like, okay, now I get it. You're just the
Yes.
messenger. You are the messenger.
Yes.
And that is your job, is to deliver.
And that's where I also remind and I talk with many and many of people, and sometimes I'd be like, man, like, dang, this is something that I needed to hear. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just the mirror. I'm the person. I'm just that inner thought that you already knew. I'm just in physical form reminding you. That's all it is.
But you're not just, because you're the nexus. You're the connection to get that message. You are very necessary. Don't when just devalues. You're not just. You are an important piece of. You are the puzzle piece to make sure that whatever picture God is painting, the strokes are there.
Yes.
You're very much necessary, and I gotta tell you, you're not just anything.
Mm-hmm.
You are very necessary. And
Yeah.
if it wasn't for
Yeah.
you, if you weren't obedient to be empty so that he can fill you up, then you would be just. There's a difference between somebody who's always around and somebody who's there. And you are necessary and you are there for whatever the purpose is intended for you to be. And
Yeah.
I greatly appreciate you.
I wholeheartedly thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
And sharing that and to continue to sharing that. And same thing with you too, Lee. You already know it's always love here. You share so much information and get the love back. That's where for me, and this is still going on, doesn't matter, it's still going in between the concepts and the talks, but it's just always important. For me, the most important thing that you can share and give to somebody, for me personally, is your time, because of how limited it is and how valuable, even though it is money, whatever, all this other stuff, but really valuable in the sense of we don't have much of it, we can't get that back. And with time, again, time is healing all wounds. That's how time builds the relationships and love, for love to actually prosper and all these other things alongside of it. So when you all come and give up your time, I don't take that for granted, because it's definitely not. And it's not just so to show that, yeah, I'm gonna be up here and y'all gonna be supporting and following. No, it's more of, we're here, we locked in all together, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm intentional with this time and that I'm here full force with you during this time, because you gave it. I'm gonna make sure that is also reciprocated. If not, again, we enhance it together.
I like this platform. You have no idea what I'm when you're speaking, what I'm visualizing. You have a black man and a black woman cooperating and
Yes.
actually complementing one another, and that's what we need to see on a more consistent basis. Because I've seen this picture. It was a 3D picture. This baby with no shirt on had a beautiful head of hair.
Yes.
He put his hands out and crying his ass off, like, "Daddy, where you going?" And the dad put his hands on his chest. It was a reflection. I said, "Woo!"
Mm.
It's very much necessary to see us cooperate. And I'm gonna say one thing, and the last thing I'm gonna drop down.
Yeah.
No, two. I have to give you two of them. The word water. You said water.
Yes.
Water stands for women are truly essential resources.
Mm-hmm.
And then the word woman stands for why our men are necessary.
Mm. Mm. Again, life, water is essential.
Absolutely.
A woman, again, people will say from womb, the man came. All of this stuff, again, is not only the puzzle piece that's playing, but again, we all have a role, we all have a set part, and is, like you said, it is necessary. I speak in the terms that I do at times, just because I don't necessarily need to always be taking the credit for anything. It's more so that the conversation that's said and what happens and whatever comes from this space, I am grateful for it, and I make sure that it's just not only me, is all of us that have given these words and these pieces together. So even if it seems like I may be, or others can also be saying that they might downplay themselves and things in ways like that, no, it's just always to me a common reminder that, of course, I'm here because you're here, and you're here because I'm here. And that is just how I keep a lot of my thought processes and my perspectives around things.
I appreciate you.
You know it. Yeah, again, yep, wordsmith. She sure, I am telling you, I wouldn't be surprised if you have not only just that whole, you know, volumes of acronyms, but you have the same with poems.
Oh, I do. And as you're talking, I'm on fire right now. You said womb.
Mm-hmm.
Womb stands for where our men began.
So are these on the spot, or you already had
No, no,
these?
no. As you're saying the words, see. You got to remember, you said the word womb, and I just did the word womb.
My goodness.
Remember, you just said it.
I don't know if it's a recollection of what you've already done or if you just like, nah, right here on the
I'm
spot,
listening
there
to
it
you.
is.
I'm listening to you, and as you're speaking, it comes into my head.
Beautiful. That's all I had to end up saying.
I
Is
appreciate
beautiful.
I appreciate you. On that note, would you mind if I show you the book? I got a book.
Oh, please and link it because I definitely would love to purchase in any way, shape, or form for
Not
sure.
a problem. Here it is right here. This is the book. This is right here. This is the book. Hang around. Start it over. Let's start over. Start over.
Hmm.
Wait for it.
Hmm.
This is the book called Novocaine.
Hmm.
That's the book. So the beautiful thing about this book is it is a builder book. I
Hmm.
published it. I created the book, all the animations. So what would happen if anyone wants to order a book, your pictures will go in the book and your name will become a acronym. It will be a personalized memorabilia book. No one will have the same book. No one can ever have the same book.
Whoa.
Absolutely.
What made you come up with that
Because I'm
concept
dope,
and idea?
baby. Because I'm dope. That's the book. And so the book is called Novocaine. And Novocaine is a 3-part poem.
Hmm.
It's her confessing her idea of what a man is to her,
Yeah.
and him answering, and then the third part is them coming together.
Hmm.
Yeah. And it's about words. It's a beautiful piece. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. They would say, that sound like you was talking about me. I thought it was me you was talking about. I said, baby, it's whoever you want to be about. But yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you for letting me plug that.
All right. Well, now I know. Yeah, I know where. Once I get paid Friday, where a portion of that is going. So yeah.
I appreciate you so much. And don't let me change your content and your platform. I'm going to drop down, but I really
Oh
appreciate
yeah. Oh, you're good. Look, this is it's my. I know it's the platform that I'm creating, but at the same time, it's not just me. Like I said, I love it when people come and share, their thoughts, their processes, and what they got going because someone else, will be either inspired or at the same time will be intrigued. And again, like you said, in that piece, talking about, "Was you talking to me? You talking straight to me? It felt like you was talking about me." Again, there's what I've come to learn, understand, overstand, outerstand. I say so many times in those 4 different ways is I'm not the only person and vehicle that the message needs to get through to,
you.
and I'm okay with that, especially just to give the example, and then you handle what you got to handle. Me working as a school counselor,
Oh, wow.
I know that again, as much as I love working with the youth, as much as I love giving back and sharing what I have for them to hopefully it impacts them in some way, shape, or form. I'm not the only counselor that's there. There's another counselor. She's a woman. I understand that there's going to be things that a lot more kids are going to be gravitating towards to ask her and do things with her versus there is with me. And the thing is, I'm fine with that because the overall thing is that I want them to find and explore and figure out not only who they are, but build upon themselves. And I don't want that to be a stepping block and be like, but why? They could have learned that from me when that has nothing to do with me at all.
The mission has been accomplished no matter who it came from.
Exactly.
As long as it get done, it's done.
Exactly.
I respect it. appreciate it. It's a tag team. As long as somebody was there to fill that void, it's all that matters. The objective is to make sure their child is fed
Yes.
and their needs have been met. Not, well, I could have did it. Well, unfortunately, it was done, and unfortunately, you weren't the one to do it. Maybe it was meant to that manner, but I thank you so much. You are very necessary.
And you know, so much love back to you, and it's the same thing.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you. You have a great night, and
Likewise.
place the link in the chat so that you all can actually take a look at the promo.
Okay, perfect. But is it on your page?
No,
It is not on your page.
no.
Okay, well then I'll just get it from you via the DM messages. So, and I'm gonna go check that out.
Thank you. You have a great night, okay?
Likewise. Peace.
Good night.
Yes, y'all. So again, shouts out to Dope Female Trainer and all of y'all being in here, you know, sharing, being present, you know, finding what it is necessary for you to help you, to also help others, if that is, again, one of your intentions. But a lot of these topics and conversations that we speak on and say, it is just meant to help, again, build a community and develop, you know. And if you don't know, now you know. But again, I'm gonna go back and re-preface for me again the who is the worst enemy. I still end up saying, of course, for me it's myself, because there's always days where I could be learning and doing more, and then I can also hinder and hurt myself, and hurt in a sense of, you know, miss out on opportunities for growth. Because just like Dope Female Trainer said, and I talked about earlier, when you put that word out there and in a number of other words, you put and you liken people to your level. And not everybody is on your level. And it's okay to say that they're not on your level. When it's not in a egotistical and cocky sense. It's more of a everybody has their own reality and level of where they at. And once you start to look for and compare, that's where you start to lose out on your mission at hand that's in front of you. Shouts out to Definite Mass. What's good, fam? What's the word? Much love to see you up in here. So grateful. Another wonderful person at heart in so many different ways. Artistic. There's an overall great being. I'm glad to see you up in here, my G. But it's important and necessary too. And I saw also right here in the comments too that depression is my worst enemy. It's important that we take that time to be able to analyze and reflect on all of what is necessary to help us. So awareness is one of those main pieces to have, because if you're not aware of what is going on, or if something is a challenge, or if something is a problem, or is creating a situation, then you won't be able to address it head on. So I'm sending my peace and light and love to Sade up in here, the poet, for that, because that is a very, very, you know, hard, you know, topic and state to be in at times. Because depression, again, I think we spoke about it last show, but it's, yeah, being in a state of being pressed. Something is, you know, creating that point in that aspect, and what that does is it has a hold on not only what you feel mentally, but what you feel physically, and then also spiritually within the soul. It affects all of those pieces. And once you are able to find out what in particular is, you know, ailing you, you get to the root of that. That's where true work begins. I can continue to give you band-aids for the scars that are on the outside, or I can continue to give you like medicine to help lessen the symptoms. But if we don't go to the root of the cause of that problem, then we will continue to just keep maintaining the status quo of that issue versus, again, charging head on to actually get through it and force figure it out. And that can happen in a many various of ways, whether if that's having a community of people that's, been through that same, challenge. You call it, again, like I said before, there's words that could be used interchangeably. If you don't want to call it a challenge, you can call it a struggle. If you don't want to call it a struggle, you can end up calling it, an opportunity. Whatever you want to end up naming it, or again, it's an issue, whatever you want to end up naming it. But just know that there are resources there for you. It's all up to you to reach out and find those ones. And if that resource is, taking a couple of days to really just, feel it, and you feel it. And then after that is maneuvering outside of that to know, okay, who, what, when, what are these places and things that I need to, connect with? Who's there that's going to, bring about that help and that attention, that, tender loving care with, what I may be experiencing. So I appreciate you sharing that. I really do. Because there are a lot of things that we can quote unquote call our enemy. But again, once you make the clear conscious decision to say that that's your enemy, that's where you need to take the time to figure out a plan against that. To a point, then after that, now it's not on your level. Because what we're trying to do day in and day out is create a balance. We're trying to live life to its fullest while at the same time carefree, in a sense of very simplistically. Now you're like, okay, what are you talking about? So trying to live life as simple as we can, but we complicate things when we add so much onto our plate, or we add so many things within our relative reality. And when you have so many enemies, when you have so many challenges, issues, problems, it's just like having, again, a messy house or a messy room. I've said it before, but I like using it all the time. Shouts out to Jordan Peterson when he talked about, start with just cleaning your room. Again, start cleaning your mind. Start cleaning the food. Start with certain practices that will help eventually get rid of and work on all the clutter that is here and everywhere around you. Because then once you have space, and that's like physical space, mental space, any type of space that you want to think of from an example, you start to have more room to breathe, more room to think, more room to actually contemplate on what are the stuff that needs to be done, or what are the things that you could kind of relax on and just wait in the background to, address. It starts to help you build on the priorities and really know, how am I going to navigate this next day, come back, prepare myself, and feel fully present. And that's all. It's all a matter of time. Like the brother Definite Mass says, man, what will you do with this given time? Like, what will you do? And I think it's essential that you build yourself. So then after that, you can create more to happen around you, so that you build the community, build people. And that's where, in essence, that creates the beauty within life, is not just only you, but the people around you, creating the whole world for me. So yeah, so who's your worst enemy? Could be yourself, could be depression, it could be the government if it's an external type of thing. But again, once you speak those words, you think those thoughts, now you have to work against and put in the time, effort, energy, and attention to how are you going to go about solving it. And because it's important that you solve these things, because if you don't, it becomes unresolved. And when something is unresolved and it's backed up, again, you're adding more stress, you're adding more situations, issues, problems that are so backed up to a point where you don't know what to do. And I don't want anybody to get to that sense of they don't know what to do. And what I mean by know what to do in a sense of there's no other routes, no other avenues, there's no other ways to look at things getting better. I don't want no one to have to go through that. Unfortunately, there's a lot of folks who do go through that, through all these circumstances. But again, being able to provide yourself with a space to be able to be aware of that stuff is always the first step to that. Then finding those resources, finding those people, finding the outlets. For myself, two of those outlets, and well, now it's a third. No, actually, it's four now. No, there's more. I just right when I think of one, there's more that comes with it. But some of those outlets that then help me to not always be fully in my head, but then to also work through my challenges. It's music. For me, the youth, working with kids and working with the students, they bring such a breath of fresh air and perspective that not only does it make me reassess and look at what I'm currently dealing with and be like, you know what? I can handle that. I can actually overcome that. And it can just be from them sharing a story of how they overcome, them sharing a story of they're not knowing what to do, and you being able to give them some type of guidance or just a space to just be them, and they're grateful for that. Or it can end up being they just, again, made your day, whether if it was a laugh, it was a funny joke, or they actually are paying attention and listening to what's being said. It brings motivation out for you to want to be better for yourself so that you can be better of service to someone else. And again, likewise, what meditation, I've been boxing. Shouts out to my cousin. There's a number of outlets that can be used, and when I mean outlets, these are activities and different strategies for yourself so that then you can look at helping you and anyone else if that's your intention. Some people come to this life in this world and it's just them. It's all about them. I'm self-made. This is all that I want to do. This is all that I want to be. This is all that I want to say. And that's all fine and well. But how far down that road and how you get through life, ultimately, you're going to keep coming across a lot of not only brick walls, but a lot of forks in the road or even dead ends. Because I use it a lot and I say it a lot. Intentions are also so vital, because if your intentions don't have a lot of merit behind it, it will not be sustainable. You won't be able to continue through because your why was to, I'm just going to show them up. I'm not saying that you can't use that as fuel, but you always have to reassess after a while what is really driving you, what is really pushing you to keep going. And if it's just something, as simple as that was only going to get me going for like the next 4 years, then after those 4 years, we got to reassess that. Now, what's going to drive us? Now, what's our why? All right, we already went and showed them up. Now, what we going to do? We still going to try to show them up, but we've already went beyond that. What are we doing now? And that's where people get stuck. And I appreciate that saying poetry for you. Poetry, again, it's another powerful thing. Words are such powerful things. And the person who wills those words is also very powerful. People don't really think this is true we're saying it earlier. I have segments on it myself, but the whole Harry Potter, spells and words and things of that sort, it really is. If you even think back and look back, a lot of ancestors, not even just witch doctors, voodoo or a lot of that stuff comes from words. When we use the word curse, when we're cursing at somebody, those curse words, those bad words that we're saying that is instead of be, that's what it is. Words hold intentions, they hold power, they hold energy, because we are beings of ourselves that is energy, and all of that stuff says, the Bible says you have power over dominion. Again, there's power in a lot of the words and what we speak and what we do. And when we break a lot of this stuff down, you take the time to know about, learn about, listen to, and actually, be here and sit with yourself. A lot of things become a lot more clear. You start to be able to clear out all of the junk, all of the mess, and really take in what's needed. You see transformations from a lot of people when they decide to just take that moment to really reflect and work on yourself, and really work on yourself, not work on yourself while you're still moving and brushing your teeth and creating your breakfast and driving with one hand and putting on makeup and blowing your nose. But no, really sit there and just work on yourself, build yourself up. And when you do that, life is going to become a lot easier. Life is going to become a lot more precious to you. And it doesn't have to be just necessarily people, but it's also things, it's also nature, it's also relationships. It's a overall change. And you're still going to have that piece of you, because again, this is what was given to you at birth. You have all of this stuff innately in you, and it's there for you. And once you tap into it, it will continue to lead you until you decide, I've had enough. This is not sustaining me, or it is sustaining me right now. Now I want to enhance it to the next level. And you don't have to be, again, overly spiritual. You don't have to be fully religious. You don't have to have this amazing blown out philosophy of how I'm going to do this. You don't have to have your life planned all the way down to the T. It's just really being genuine with what your intention is and your purpose to move in this life. And when you come across and find that, and you hold on to it, and you keep pressing forward with it, it's going to show, and it's going to echo throughout. And people are going to pick up on it very quickly and very easily. And they're going to listen. They're going to want to be around. There's so much that's there. There's so much to be given, but ultimately, do you want to take on and also give? But again, who's your worst enemy? Mine is myself. But the thing is, I had a respect for the enemy, because that enemy is my inner me. And once I understand my inner me, oh, it's game over. It's game over. And I'm already there, but there's so many more levels to unlock. And once I keep unlocking those levels, I'm telling you, it's over. It don't matter if the flesh is gone. Oh man, this is gonna be over. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Over in a good sense of things will continue to grow even when I am here and when I'm not here. But that's me, and this is the show. But if y'all got any more, please throw it down in the comments before I close up and I wrap up for tonight. And we do, again, I'm just reminding y'all, we have, after this now, we have what, 4 more, or is it 5 more episodes? Episode 23 is going to be on December 27th. That's going to be the final season, the final show, the whole finale, the bacon, egg, cheese, double quarter pounder. I'm just playing. It's going to be the end. But that doesn't mean this is the full end of these conversations. There's always going to be more that's going to continue on. But the platform is always going to keep moving and always keep pressing forward. But in this type of aspect, this is what's going to be here and what's going to be left. But if y'all do still rock with it, continue to rock with it, much love to y'all. But to wrap up, with all of this to wrap up, when it comes to current events, news reports, and just global news happening, it's important to be informed. It's important to be aware of what's happening, because ultimately, proper preparation prevents poor performance. And when you are able to know what's happening and know what's going on, you can properly help and prepare your loved ones, yourself, and all of those around you. So staying informed and in the know so that you can know and be ready for the unknown. Second, when it comes to the grand illusion, again, the grand illusion is a combination, an amalgamation, a collection, what word you want to put there, of all the many lies culminating to a grander one. And for me, that grander lie is what we've been speaking about already earlier. It's to have the world disconnect you from yourself so that you can think that the outside world is yourself and the inside world is completely somebody else. That's the grandest illusion to me. Much love and respect, and shouts out again to Pharaoh Monch. That track is fire. And lastly, who is your worst enemy? For me, my worst enemy is my inner me, because there's a conflict between the outer and the inner. But once they come together, it's a beautiful thing. And whatever your enemy is, whether if that's the depression, whether if that is the government, whether if that's your next door neighbor or whoever it is, take that time and awareness, take that time to become aware of what that is, plan the part, figure the plan, overcome, look at the challenge, and create a better version of yourself in the same process. That being said, y'all, this has been another episode of What's the Word Wednesdays. Appreciate everyone coming through. If you want to check out more, again, you can go through the page, as well as shouts out to all of those who'll be watching this later, whether on Instagram, YouTube, and all other social platforms. If you're on YouTube, go ahead, subscribe to your boy at A.D.V.I.S. Speaks. Again, subscribe to your boy at A.D.V.I.S. Speaks. There's more content to be up there, not have to be long form like this, but again, I'm speaking. I appreciate you coming in, sharing your time. Much love to everyone that came on, that shared in the comments. Y'all don't know that, again, power to me, but power to all of y'all, because it's power to we, because once we move as a unit, again, we become an unmovable force. So let's keep moving in that direction. Keep moving straight forward. With that being said, y'all, peace and one love. I'm your brother A.D.V.I.S. We'll catch you next Wednesday for another episode, and we're going to keep doing what we need to do. But don't forget to keep your pace, patience, awareness, consistency, and empathy on this road. Peace and love, y'all. I'm out.